PA died mid-sentence. Water lapped at the platform edge, and a voice on the interop channel, one I didn't know yet, said my name like a safety line. Elliot, if that rail's not cold, do not step in. My name is Elliot Park, 27, night shift signal maintainer for New York City Transit's Queens Boulevard line. My office is a bungalow with a rack of relays older than my parents', a stack of service bulletins, and a kettle that tastes like copper. My commute is tunnels. I live in Sunnyside, count my paychecks in MetroCards, and measure storms by how fast the track drains forget they're supposed to be drains. My job is simple and indecently complicated. Make red lights turn green without the city dying in between. We say third rail cold when the power is cut and hot when it's not. The first lie you learn on this job is that cold feels safe. It isn't. The second lie is that hot feels obvious. It isn't either. The third rail looks like a sensible block of steel in a sensible city that tells itself sensible stories. It is not. It is a serpent with perfect grammar. The night this story happened, remnants of a hurricane trained over the city like a commuter who never misses. Cloudburst is the pretty word. We got the other one, flash flood. Queens Boulevard became a documentary about water finding the low places in your life and filing them alphabetically. RCC, the Rail Control Center, started speaking like a metronome. Signal trouble at Roosevelt. Water in the substation. Train held northbound at Court SQ23 Saint, standby. On my handheld, my supervisor added New York's favorite adverb. Now. I drove the white MTA van to the Court Square complex, swam my boots over curb puddles, and took the service stairs 2 at a time. The smell hit first. River, ozone, an old subway. The perfume you can't bottle because nobody would forgive you. The platform was a mood room. Calm above the waist, panic below. Water lapped at the platform edge. Someone's tote bag floated like a cousin of a jellyfish. A C train sat in the tube mouth that doesn't belong there. Only it wasn't a C, it was an F. But everyone calls a stuck train the letter they learned to complain about as a child. RCC to Maintainer Park, the dispatcher said in my ear, voice flat to avoid being contagious. We have power hold on the third rail from 36 Saint to Court Skunen substation confirms pull, but we need you to verify cold before FDNY stages evacuation. Copy, I said, en route to Gap Jumper. If you've never worked a flood in a subway, you don't know the specific insult of water above the third rail. We get trained not to step near it when it's hot. We get trained not to trust it when it's cold. What they don't tell you is how loud water gets when it believes in itself. I hit the relay room, our bungalow tucked behind a no admittance. Nay door and checked the panel. The blue lamp for third rail was dark, which can mean safe, or burned out, which can mean eulogy. I grabbed the detector wand, touched the shoes where the shoe beams reach for power, and listened for the angry bee sound I have nightmares about. The wand stayed bored. I checked again because boredom kills. Still bored. I keyed the interop. Court Square to FDNY EMS staging. Third rail cold verified from 36 to Court. Power tags applied. Maintainers on platform for escort. The voice I hadn't met yet came back, clipped and kind. MS Lieutenant J. Morales with 58 Bravo staging at the mezzanine. Copy your cold verify. Elliot, if that rail's not cold, do not step in. I like living, I said, and the channel was rude enough to let me hear someone laugh. But the truly shocking part hadn't happened yet. We run with FDNY because the city works when departments pretend the river between them is a bridge. On nights like this, the radio becomes a family group chat with better consequences. Jay came down the far stairs like a person who has learned to carry his own gravity. EMS bunker coat, helmet clipped to his bag, not his head, because experience knows when headgear becomes a problem. He had the way of moving that says I don't waste footsteps. Up close he looked early 30s, Puerto Rican, handsome in the way of men who drink water because someone they respected told them to. His eyes were the city's wet concrete, brown, open, honest about the cracks. Lieutenant Morales, he said, hand out, gloved. Your park? Elliot, I said, because we were already below ground, and first names borrow confidence. We did the quick ritual. I pointed to the trip stop lever on the way. He tapped it with 2 fingers like a man greeting a saint. He checked my power tags like he was grading me gently and found them passing. We got to the gap where the F breathed stale air and waited. "Car 6 has a wheelchair," the TO yelled through the railfan window, voice barely arrogant at all under the stress of disobeying several laws of acoustics. 2 seniors and a foster dad with twin toddlers in car 4. One had a seizure 10 minutes ago. Stopped. "Copy," Jay said. He moved to the mic like it was a piano he respected. "Folks, stay calm. I'll be with you in 30 seconds. Sir, point me to the seizure kid." He looked at me like we were classmates who had both studied and needed to cheat off each other's competence. "Walkway?" "No walkway here," I said. "Just ballast and water up to the rim. We'll bridge with the rescue board," he said. He took the long spine board, laid it down like a priest setting a table, and I stepped onto the ties where the stone is boring and the water is not. I put my hand on the car's threshold and looked down into reflection that did not deserve to be called a puddle. I caught my breath because that's the thing that knows what to do when your brain wants to leave. "Elliot," Jay said, voice low in a city loud. "We good?" "We're good," I said, because I would rather represent that lie than let fear think it gets to hold office. We ferried people at 3 miles an hour across 6 feet of NYC. It felt like moving them to a different planet. The wheelchair went last with a 4-person carry. Me, Jay, the conductor, another maintainer who'd appeared with that firefighter habit of being where he's needed without a preface. Twin toddlers were up top with a field tech playing Baby Shark on their phone because civilization sometimes runs on humiliating songs. When the platform emptied and the train caught its dignity, the interop said, "All right, Court Square, G. Tunnel is fully stalled between Greenpoint Ave and 21 St. Water high at the Sunnyside portal. Reporting chest deep in the tube for one mechanic from car equipment who went stupid. He's on a catwalk. He says he's fine." Jay's face did the look people do when they're taking inventory of their remaining luck. "We heading?" "I live near Greenpoint Ave," I said. "Lucky you," he said not unkindly. "Let's go make sure he keeps having a life." Wait, don't miss this detail. We jogged through tunnels that don't love it, climbed stairs that hate it, and splashed into Jackson Ave where the rain made graffiti look like stained glass. FDNY engines blinked blue in a way that meant serious but not funeral. At Greenpoint, the station agent's booth had turned into a command plank, with maps taped to the glass, and a whiteboard that said G, held in tubes. Third rail cold north of station. FD confirmed. We went down. The tube was a throat that had decided to cough. Water milled like a crowd with nowhere to be. A catwalk ran along the wall like an apology. On it, a man in a damp MTA jacket, car equipment patch, face set to regret. He saw Jay and me and performed the ritual of the repentant. Both hands up, palms open like he was about to pat the air. "I misjudged," he said. "It's a living," Jay said. "What's your name?" "Naveen," he said. "I'm fine." "You're not fine," Jay said, clinical and merciful. "You're going to be fine." He clipped the rescue line to Naveen's harness like he was reminding the world to behave politely. I took the tail and set it around a column like a history teacher talking about leverage. The tube hummed in that way tunnels hum when they've decided to be musical instruments. Midway back to the platform, lights flickered. The argument between water and electricity is old and never thoughtful. Jay's hand found my sleeve without turning into panic. He did not squeeze. He rested. My heart did the kind of arithmetic it does when it remembers how to survive. We got Naveen to the tape and let him apologize exactly once. Then a voice from RCC, Warning Coordination, OCC reports storm drains overwhelmed citywide. Lexington Ave 53, St. Flooding on the lower mez. Roosevelt AV mez ankle deep. If you have a spare miracle, call dispatch. Jay looked at me like we had a spare miracle in the van. "Eat?" he asked. "Because paramedics are food optimists. I have gimbap my mother sent in a Tupperware," I said. He grinned like the city had remembered an old joke. "Marry me," he said, casual as a cough. "I barely know you," I said, and gave him half the roll. We leaned against a tile column while the world decided to be wet. Up close I noticed the faint scar on his left forearm, the kind of thin white that says glass or years. He saw me see it and didn't make a speech. I was 19 when my cousin drowned in a backyard pool in the Bronx, he said, as if he had no interest in making that sentence a tool. I learned 2 things. You count people as they go in and as they come out, and water doesn't care about your certifications. I wanted to say a lot and said a small thing. I fell off a ladder in Corona 2 years ago. 12 feet. I count my rungs now. Good, he said. Let's go count strangers. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. By midnight, the storm did what storms do when they get bored. It doubled down. Roosevelt Ave Jackson Heights turned into a ballet of buckets and mops and a waterfall that thought gravity was a buffet. A busker with a doomed violin tried to play Stand By Me and almost made me cry because irony is illegal underground. The 7 line did its impression of a canoe. A portable pump sulked. Transit workers formed a bucket brigade like a historical reenactment nobody wanted tickets to. A mother with 2 children under 6 looked at the stairs like they were an exam. Jay knelt so he was at eye level with the older one and said, "We count the steps out loud. Can you help me?" The boy nodded with the solemnity of a new recruit. They counted. They were both brave or short. "Interop to all Cordesk units," RCC said. "And when they say to all, your bones pay attention. We have a partial ceiling collapse reported Mez West. No injuries yet. Evacuate the mezzanine west side. East side remains open. We moved bodies like furniture you love, careful, fast." A college kid tried to take a selfie and Jay gave him a look so precise the phone apologized. When the west side closed, the east side suddenly had to learn how to be enough. We became ushers for a congregation that hadn't tithed. People behaved like New Yorkers in a crisis. They argued in the right direction. At 0210, the radio did teeth. "Dispatch, train operator trapped in the cab of an E at Lex 53, door warped by water pressure. PD on scene, FDNY en route, power confirmed off. Need a signal maintainer for mechanical release." "I'm closest," I said. "Even if closest is a word you can lie to." "I'll come," Jay said. "FDNY's got it," I said. "I'm not only FDNY," he said. And I didn't say what else because the list was in his eyes. Uncle, cousin, man whose governing document is do the thing. We took a Q60 bus a dozen blocks because sometimes the city decides to be a small town if you ask in the right voice. We cut through turnstiles like magic because badges are the only spells that work reliably in New York. At Lex 53, the mezzanine lights flickered like they were practicing for a rave. The operator was in his cab doing the calm breathing we teach children with math problems. The door had decided to be geometry. Jay's Halligan did what Halligans do when physics behaves. The door sighed like a retired actor and returned to its first home. Open. The operator, Sal, 60 Staten Island accent you could butter, said, "I'm fine," which we all trusted in the way you trust a man who has eaten enough deli to know his limits. Jay gave him glucose, which is New York for love. Water pressed the platform edge like a hand trying to hold hands. It made a little sound when it kissed the yellow tactile. Plastic rain on sandpaper. I loved the city so hard my teeth hurt. And just when I thought it was over, by 03:00 the radar decided Queens had borrowed enough sky and gave Brooklyn a turn. The G-tube exhaled. The F found a hostler to take it to a yard that remembered it. The subway did the thing that makes people forgive it. It pretended that earlier was a rumor. We were soaked to the point where dryness felt like nostalgia. Jay and I stood under an exit awning on Lexington, the street a glinting river of taillights and bad decisions. He took off his glove and shook water from it like a dog that knows it lives with humans. I took off my hard hat and wanted to marry whoever invented hats. "You okay?" he asked, the way he always asked, like it was a real question. "I keep being okay," I said, stealing a line from a man I had met 4 hours ago and wanted to keep meeting. The city's breath made steam halos on our mouths. He laughed, and it made his laugh lines do the thing that makes me forgive birthdays. A kid, maybe 15, stood under the awning with us, Polaroid camera in his hands like a museum piece he'd stolen. He pointed it at the street, took a photo, shook it like 80s music videos taught his parents. He glanced at us and said, "You want one?" Like he wasn't terrified of the answer. "We're good," Jay said, but the kid took it anyway, framing us in the corner. Rain turned into gold by a streetlight's vanity. He handed it over. The image came up like a shy friend, 2 men in reflective stripes, foreheads tilted together in that way forehead tilt happens when you lean to hear a person in a loud room and forget to lean back. Not a kiss, not a briefing, something that lives between. You can keep it, the kid said, practicing adulthood. Thanks, I said. Jay slid the Polaroid into the plastic sleeve of his incident notebook. Proof, he said. What of? I asked. Of the thing we did when nothing looked like it would work, he said. We walked to the van with the kind of tired that makes people honest. I offered him the back seat to wring out his socks. He did the thing I had learned to count on. He accepted the smallest kindness like it was the only one he needed. I'm here, I said. Not sure what I meant by here, but certain about the sentence. Me too, he said. And because we were on Lexington Avenue and not in a movie, we did not kiss. We did the forehead thing again. It fit without needing a tailor. 2 days later, Eng Subway posted a mosaic of the storm. Pumps, buckets, the evil glamour of a waterfall in a place it shouldn't be. The caption didn't try for poetry, thanks to all the crews who showed up. In the collage, bottom left, small as a secret, a Polaroid lying on a station agent's desk, the gloss catching fluorescent light. In the corner of that Polaroid, 2 men under a street awning, eyes closed for a breath you can't hear. Rain writing itself vertical. The comments went the way comments do. Cynical, kind, thirsty, bored. Someone wrote small, honest, enough. No one argued. Jay texted me the post then, after a minute that felt like a door being opened carefully. Dinner? Always, I wrote. Good, he said. Because I am. We met at a 24-hour diner that pretends morning can be emotionally scheduled. He ordered pancakes because physiology. I got kimchi fried rice because ancestry. We didn't exchange resumes. We traded little accurate facts. I hate umbrellas. He counts breaths when stairs go long. I keep spare power tags in my pocket even when I'm off duty. He never finishes coffee but turns cups into talismans. We don't live together. We are near. He keeps a clean t-shirt in my gym bag. I keep a spare radio battery on his charging dock. When it floods, he texts you safe before the first press release. When power cuts, I text you up. Because it is funny and because sometimes men need excuses for tenderness. We keep the Polaroid in the magnetic window of my fridge behind the inspection sticker for the kettle I keep meaning to throw out. It reminds us that we did something even the city forgot to document properly. Sometimes the safest place isn't a dry room or a paid-off mortgage. Sometimes it's a corner of a platform where you both agree not to lie. Sometimes it's a laugh you didn't earn yet that arrives anyway. Sometimes it's a third rail that remembers to be cold and 2 men who refuse to be. I'm here, I say. When the world chooses a loud night, me too, he says. And the city, impolite, immortal and quicker than both of us, lets the lights come back on.